Y'all, it's not often that I get to talk about John Adams's presidency and have it be relevant to the news, but Trump makes it possible. So Trump has announced through an executive order that he is going to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to strengthen his ability to identify and deport foreign enemies that he's identifying as members of the drug cartel. He's basically classifying the, quote, invasion from across the southern border as equivalent to a war, and then saying that he can invoke this act to help him kick them out. Honestly, he can kind of do that anyway. I don't really know why he's invoking this act. At a rally in the fall, Trump said those were the old days when they had tough politicians. Sir, I don't think anyone has ever described John Adams as like tough. Annoying, nerdy, yeah, tough. So what is it? If you remember from your US history class, and if you don't, I have a little review for you right here. The foreign policy concerns of the first few presidents were basically just like how to stay out of the centuries-old rivalry between England and France. We'd of course just fought England in our revolution, and we'd been allied and supported by France, but also we still had like lots of ties, economic connections to England, and France was like in a very chaotic moment in its history, a la French Revolution, Reign of Terror, Rise of Napoleon, you know. George Washington famously declares like his neutrality proclamation, the best thing we can do is like stay out of Europe. We're not really strong enough, we're not stable enough yet to go and get involved. Britain and France keep trying to get us involved. Basically, they're like stopping our ships that are going across the Atlantic, trying to prevent us from sending anything to their enemy. The British are stopping ships and impressing our sailors, which doesn't mean just like doing a tap dance. It means like basically kidnapping them and saying like, you're supposed to be serving in the British Navy. The French are doing the same thing. They're trying to kind of invoke, hey, we allied with you, you need to come and support us. Yada, yada, yada. Under John Adams, we end up in what's known as a quasi-war in France, and I like quasi know what it was about. What we really need to know is that like tensions were super, super high with France. They were like sending spies that were getting discovered in the United States. We were sending diplomats over who were being mistreated, like the XYZ affair. So John Adams passes a series of acts. A lot of them are very unpopular. This one is the only one that stuck around after John Adams' presidency, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, basically that would empower him to identify, in this case, foreign enemies during wartime and deport them. This act has like become really obscure. It was used in the War of 1812. It was then used in the World Wars, most famously to justify Japanese internment, to justify rounding up Italian, German citizens, for example, and either throwing them in camps or deporting them. Does this specific act have a huge impact? I don't know. We'll see. From what I'm reading from like experts, they're saying it's kind of weird. Like he didn't really have to invoke this act. He kind of has the power to do what he wants to do anyway. So maybe it's like showmanship, or maybe it's a tribute to John Adams. I don't know.